Guys, there's only 2 days left for the mythical chest giveaway. If you want a chance at this mythical chest, join the Discord link down below and be subscribed to my YouTube so that you have a chance at getting a free mythical chest. This is the ultimate guide to PvP in Grand Peace Online. Today we will cover many topics in depth to make you a better PvP in any scene when it comes to GPO Battle Royale, Arena, and even just in public servers or fighting your friends. On the left side of my screen are the topics we will be discussing with their timestamps. So before we begin, I'd like to talk about GPO's PvP style. GPO is a true stun based game, and what that means is your M1s. What a true stun means is that the dummy, whoever you're playing against will get stunned every time you hit them. And that set time is 0.59 seconds. Another important thing to notice is you definitely need good ping in order to land combos or even land M1s in this game, because without good ping, you're going to be seeing a lot of bull.
Why are you not bull? Why are you not bull? I'm going to bring it up.
This game also has the mechanic called evasive, and it's just basically getting out of combos. You can use it to get out of combos, and the bar fills up as you take damage. As you take damage, and over time. Before we begin talking about PvP basics, you need to know what it is to make a good build. Now there's two types of builds. There's M1 builds and non-M1 builds. An M1 is just your sword damage, or like the damage you do when you left click. For instance, if I was running strength, it would be my fist, or if I was running sword, it would be my sword, right? Each build archetype is good in its own respect. It all comes down to preference, and it depends on the fruit that you choose to use. So for instance, I'm using Suna. Suna is typically used for M1 builds because you can use the moves on Suna to combo extend like this. And as you can tell, that was true. He was stunned for 5.5 seconds. But in other cases, you can use builds that require damage in your fruit. For instance, Magu. Magu is a fruit that you would put stats into the damage instead of using it as a combo extender. That brings me to my next point. There are two different types of fruits that you will use when it comes to finding your build. There are combo fruits and there are damage fruits. An example of a combo fruit would be Zushi, Goro, Kie, Suna, Ito, and then some examples of damage fruits would be Pika, Magu, Venom. Venom's also a good one. And basically the playstyle for those fruits are, if you're running Magu, something like Magu, you're basically relying on your fruit, obviously, for damage. And if you're running something like Suna, you're relying on M1s for damage, which is your, like I said previously, your fighting, your punches or your sword slices. Now that you know which build archetype you're trying to use, we're going to talk about stats here. So depending on your fruit, you actually want to put in stamina depending on that. So for me, I'm running Suna and a sword build, and since I'm running sword, I'm going to put less stamina because it doesn't take any stamina for me to swing my sword. For someone that's using Magu, they would require more stamina because in order for them to use their moves, it requires stamina. Now we're going to talk about Devil Fruit. If you're running something like a damaging fruit like Magu, once again, as my example, you're going to have to throw a lot into Devil Fruit. So it would look like something in reverse. So if you had Magu per se, you would have 937 in Devil Fruit and then 100 in Sword, most likely, depending on what sword you choose to run. And then obviously you want to leave stats for your fighting style and make sure that you have nothing less than 1.8k health. If you're trying to genuinely win your matches or whatever you're trying to do, make sure you have nothing less than 1.8k health. That is the bare minimum for a viable build. Some would even argue 2000, but for this video, I'm going to say 1.8k. Another thing to point out is when you're making your Magu build, let's say you're running something like Elo Hammer, make sure you know what it takes to get your moves, because you don't want to throw any more than that unless you're running multiple swords. So let's say specifically your build is Magu Elo Hammer. You would throw 69 into strength just so you have enough of the moves to use it with Magu. And you would not need a lot in strength because all your damage is coming from your Devil Fruit if you're using Magu. And that brings me into my next topic. Do not run hybrid builds. Splitting your stats is not worth it. To make the absolute best type of builds, you typically want to either throw something into strength, sword, gun, and then run fruits that you can use to combo extend, or you run all your stats in the fruit and use swords that you can use to combo extend, guns or strength weapons, obviously. Now there are some rare exceptions where hybrid builds will work, but for the majority of good builds, you don't want to run hybrid. Now we're going to start getting into some PvP basics. The first thing I want to talk about is your block cooldown. Yes, block actually does have a cooldown. And this is important because say you're fighting an opponent who likes to block a lot, you can actually abuse this. So what you want to do against a block player. All right, for this example, I will be using Boomy from the BR video.
Yeah.
So say your opponent is holding block. Say your opponent is holding block. If you M1 their block and then hold block. Why is it so fast? Why is it so fast?
All right, no. Hold on. Restart the whole take. Reshoot.
Say your opponent's holding block like this and you don't have a guard break off cooldown. What you want to do is you want to M1 and then immediately hold block after. And what you can do is punish them. So I'm going to have Boomy try and hit me as fast as he can after I hit his block. And I'm going to show you what it will look like in game. And all I did was pressure his block once and immediately hold block. And once I see that he started to pressure my block, I immediately go in for M1s because I know his block is off cooldown and I can punish him for it. Guard breaks actually bring me into my next topic. You actually need to know that there are abilities in game that can break blocks immediately, regardless of how many stats you have into them. And you need to know what those moves are in order to pressure your opponent's block. So if there's ever a scenario where you have an opponent that's immediately holding block like this, all like 24/7, you don't always have to go for M1 trades. You can actually go in for guard breaks and punish them. So they'll be stunned for like a pretty good duration for you to land M1s or land damage with your fruit. The next mechanic I want to show you guys is perfect blocking. And what a perfect block is basically when you block at the exact time or frame when an ability or move hits you. Why I want to talk about perfect blocking is it stuns for forever. So I'm about to show you right now. Good. So when you perfect block, look how much time you have to punish your opponent. It is so important that after you perfect block, you are immediately chasing down your opponent. That gives you an opportunity, a window where you can deal as much damage as possible before their punishment is gone. The next topic I want to talk about is holding down guard break abilities. For instance, like Mag Eruption. Mag Eruption can sometimes be perfect blocked, but if you actually intentionally hold it for the person that's trying to perfect block you, you get your free guard break. So go ahead and try and hold it. So if I try and perfect block it, and then he releases while I'm getting my block off, that's a free guard break, and he can throw Magu Fist, or he can go in for M1s, he can do whatever he wants. But I just lost 200 damage because he held down the guard break move instead of immediately releasing it and preventing his chances of getting perfect blocked and punished. Another PvP basic, you want to always be moving. Obviously you have limited geppos, but you can still use your dashes, you can just move around to keep the enemy guessing on what you're going to do. You never want to just sit still because you make yourself an easy target to guard breaks and M1 trades and stuff like that. And one more thing I want to talk about before we get into the techs, tips, and tricks. I want to talk about chasing. And what chasing is essentially just, I'm chasing you. So, for instance, if I do something like this, I wanna try and find where you're at. I think there's a better example of this is a move that does like a lot of knockback like this. My ult, like right, I'm chasing after him. So by the time he lands, we're this far apart. Like we're this far apart, I'm already back on you. I'm applying pressure so that he has no time to regroup. Right. One thing I want to talk about in text is it's a very specific scenario, but when it happens, you'll know to punish. If you actually hit someone with a move that typically knocks them back, so for instance, Desert Cutlass, when usually, you see how I usually ragdolls him? If I were to use Desert Cutlass as he's about to use a move that would hold him in place that is cancelable, I can punish him for it. And I could hit Desert Cutlass into M1s and it would be a true stun. See how I canceled his move? I canceled his move and I'm behind him, so I'm close enough to land M1s and it's all true. That rarely happens in PvP, but when it does happen, you now know to punish off of it. So the first tech I want to talk about is actually afro dashing. It's a very common tech and a lot of people want to learn it. So this is the difference between an afro dash combo and a trying to actually combo. So I'm going to use Trident's Impale as the example here. So say I'm just M1ing this guy. Look how far I have to run, and he can already block before I can use Impale. Granted, Impale is a guard break, so it wouldn't matter. But in some cases, people will actually run away after your M1 sequence, and it's just not a true combo. You want to avoid those type of combos. And this is the difference between a normal combo and afro dashing. So when you afro dash, it actually becomes a true combo. And he can't do anything about that. Like, it's just straight up true. Can't do anything about it. And it's really strong for fruits like Zuchi and Gura. So in order to afro dash, you have to be inside of your opponent. So in order to afro dash, you have to actually be inside of your opponent. So while you're landing your M1 sequence, your goal is to stay inside of your opponent. And if you're not holding down W, that's going to be hard. Because as you can see, he's moving as I'm M1ing him. So you have to be inside of him. One, pause. And then two, you want to tap W as you're hitting him so that you stay inside of his body. Right? And then the last step of afro dashing is you want to dash on that final M1. So on that final M1, at the same time as you land it, you want to dash as well. So it'll look like this when you're done. And now because of that, I'm able to land where he's supposed to land before he even gets up, and I can combo into that. Afro dashing is very strong for landing combo extenders that typically don't work with up tilts or just, regular M1 sequences. So afro dashing is something that you want to practice against dummies. It works against dummies, as you can see. The same concept, you just M1, tap W, and then dash on your final M1. It works with dummies, you can practice that, and yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is this jumping M1 tech. So instead of me targeting his block while we're both on the ground here and he can easily target me back, there's actually a tech you can use where you Geppo around him and you can M1, and you can pressure his block while moving. You can also incorporate dashes and guard breaks into it. So what it will look like if someone's holding block like this, instead of me running at him, I would Geppo around, you know, keep him guessing, if I can switch up with a guard break. And then now he's in a combo. Okay. 2, 3. Oh, it still works! Oh my god, it still works! That right there was the bazooka tech. You can actually use bazooka to combo.
Looking ass. Look on.
Alright, so how to use the combo extender. So the tech is you M1 3 times, pull out your bazooka, tap it once, M1 for the 4th time, shoot the bazooka, dash backwards, and then M1 again. It's kind of difficult, but it takes a lot of practice, and once you get it down, it's kind of nasty. And that's the whole true combo. It's actually disgusting. The very last thing I want to talk about is actually downward ragdolling. So for instance, this move, Desert Cutlass, they usually ragdoll sideways. If you change the direction of the cutlass, you can actually make it to where it'll ragdoll downwards. You can make it a combo extender. This usually works with things like Gura or the Mochi R ability. They typically will send the user flying, but if you use it downwards, it's more effective. So for instance, if I'm able to get above him and land cutlass downwards, you see how he lands right on top of me? I can just M1 him. I don't have to worry about chasing him if he's too far from my sword. This works with better things like Pika Lunge, Gura's E ability, the Shock Punch, and then it also works with the Mochi Arm, the R ability, the for V1. All right, now I'm gonna 1v1 this guy, using all the text that I've used in this video.
I'm gonna fry you.
They're gonna rub me. I was like, I'm gonna whip to death. Oh no! Oh no. Oh no, times 3.
He didn't come out. What the fuck? Yeah.
Oh shit. That's just not reloading.
I wanna watch this tech. Samurai does YT taught me this one.
That wraps up all the PvP techs and basics that you need to know. This is the ultimate guide to PvP. In this video, I really went in depth, and I hope this will help you guys improve in your PvP games, whether it's BR, Arena, or anything else. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and hope you like, subscribe. Have a great day.